Welcome to Talk Tennis. Today we are talking with Dennis Fabian, who I know your title is like global manager of the business of anyways, but I would just like to say he is a string guru badass for head tennis. So that's where I'm going to start. Welcome, Dennis. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, Michelle, for the introduction. That sounds fun. I hope I can live up to the expectation that you just put out.
For sure. And we have previously recorded an episode with you, and that one was very well received by our audience. And I will link it to this episode as well. But if anyone wants to listen to that before they listen to this one, it's called Did Someone Say Champagne Strings? And we talked all about the Lynx Tour strings, which that was now 2 years ago. And that has quickly become a favorite string, not only amongst us at Tennis Warehouse and the playtest team, but amongst many players out there. So love to hear like the feedback and see how well that string has done since we chatted. But today, I think we're going to chat about another string that might quickly become the favorite of many. But before we get into any details, let's just check in with you. How's everything going in your world? You're at BNP Paribas Open right now. How's everything on site? How's the string room?
Yeah, it's interesting these days. I mean, it's my first trip since Indian Wells last year because due to the pandemic, we weren't really able to travel anywhere, and nobody wanted to also take any risk. Now that we're at least myself and everyone else in the team is also vaccinated and things, we were able to travel again, which is great. Like I have just spent time at the Laver Cup in Boston, where I used our new stringing machine. Now I'm here at the BNP Paribas, and it's going really well. Like we see all the players again. They are happy to see us again. We have a great stringer team, mainly all based or coming out of the US. So we made this year the decision to bring in stringers that are located in North America to reduce any risk in planning, because at the time when you need to get confirmation from stringers, it hasn't been really clear how the travel restrictions would impact. So we made that decision. We really got a good team together, and we see again an increase in rackets coming in. It's a bit crazy the first couple of days. Mm-hmm. Also, since the tournament has made some adjustments in terms of now that it's a full player stable, so on men and women's side, so it's a lot, but the team is rocking and rolling.
Nice. Maybe just give an overview of what it's like to be in a stringing room, because I think that's a side of tennis, a professional tennis, at least, that a lot of people have never experienced or never seen. I know Tennis Warehouse has done some fun features in the stringing room, but what's the atmosphere like? And is it, do you guys fangirl and fanboy if you get someone cool's racket in or anything like that?
Yeah, I think everyone is slightly different. There's for sure a lot of different characters around the stringers. You got the very calm guys that are just doing their work and they are just cranking out each racket, very professional. Then there are others who are they have their favorite players they love to string for, but even players have their preferred stringers. So when they walk into the room, they check who's there, and then they even ask if one or the other can do it because they are familiar with them. So that's always what we try to look into as well, that we get familiar faces of stringers for the players too. Yeah, we just did a video shoot with your team on site yesterday in the stringers room. We showed our new stringing machine because it's actually a side of Laver Cup. It's the first time we use it as an official tournament, like all of the new machines. So which is pretty exciting. So far, things are going really well. The machine will be available in the US now, starting 2022, which is also exciting news for the people who are listening and who are the stringers out there.
Yeah.
First time that HEAD will offer a stringing machine in the North American market, which is exciting for me too, how people react to it. But yeah, overall, it's pretty cool. You hear the stories of the stringers across from all their travels this year. We have one guy in the team, he has the golden slam in stringing basically. So Thomas Stillwell, he actually has made all Grand Slams and the Olympics. So he for sure has a lot of stories to tell of what happened. We got somebody at the front desk, Jim Dowse, who has 3 out of 4 Grand Slam done. We have our veteran there who's leading more or less the stringers team, like the stringers themselves, Julian Lee, who is like from the very beginning when we took over the stringing service here in Indian Wells, he was on board. We have a new team that is kind of leading up from our US team, Sophia Bott and Felix Schumann. They are doing really great. So it's good to see new people coming in, taking over, being interested, ready to learn, listening, and that's pretty exciting. And it's always fun. And it's underestimated by everyone what these people are delivering day by day.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. That's so crazy. That's really cool to think that like someone has the golden slam in stringing. That's awesome. I've never even thought of it that way.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
So yeah, stay tuned for that video. Also, we can link that because it is pretty interesting to be in a stringing room at one of these major tournaments because like you said, there's like some interesting characters. So the vibe is always a little different. It can be intimidating too if you're not like a stringer walking in because that's like your guys' territory. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like these guys are within like 14 days. They are basically in that room like 18 hours a day. And you can imagine that there are ups and downs per day, which you have to manage when you're leading the service, which the team is doing really great.
Well, and also Jonathan Wolf is going to be so excited about that HEAD stringing machine. And that might be a whole nother conversation that's like way above my pay grade. But I know the stringers out there will be really interested to hear more about that. So maybe we can chat further about that later. We'll get like Troy in here, Booney, Jonathan, and they can just talk all things string machines. That's exciting as well.
Yeah, sure. Like cool. I'm always there.
Nice.
No
like,
problem.
Because of the pandemic, it's been really easy to communicate with people no matter where in the world everyone is. So you're obviously in Austria most of the time, but it's been great to be able to communicate virtually and share. So, well, we're here to talk mostly about HEAD tennis strings. And previously we talked about the Lynx Tour. And there's something new coming to the Lynx family. And I know in the previous episode you did this as well, but maybe you can start at the very top of the segmentation of HEAD tennis strings and how they kind of like silo out into their different families. And then we can go from there.
Yeah, I mean, we have pretty much every other brand. We have 2 big buckets of strings, which are the monofilaments. Most people call them polyester or copolyester strings. And then we have the multifilament strings. In the monofilament strings, we have taken the approach of, let's say, 3 tiers of levels, which starts with the Hawk family, then with the Lynx family, and goes down to the Sonic Pro family. Sonic Pro was one of the first really established HEAD polyester strings in the market, like probably a decade or even longer ago, definitely way before my time at HEAD. Then we expanded the entire thing. We see more and more players using our strings, like you have in the Hawk family, which is definitely for like more or less for the really high performing players. Very, how should I say, like each string has really their key benefits where like the better players, they know exactly what they are looking for and they should be able to find it within the Hawk family. Mm-hmm. So you get like players like Sasha Zverev, Ash Barty, they use a Hawk touch, partly with some natural gut in their setup. And then like you have the Lynx family, which established itself because of a very attractive price point, which you also always have to consider when you bring new products to the market, how you want to position it. For sure, we need to have cost in mind and everything. But the Lynx family overall has established itself very well on that, I would call it the mid-price point in tennis strings, which is that range from, let's say, $10 to $13 map for a set of strings. And we started off with Lynx back then, which is a very good copolyester strings, delivers a lot of benefits for a broad audience of players. Lynx Edge was added on, hasn't received as much traction as we probably would have expected. Always different reasons, but that string will discontinue, especially now that Lynx Tour has really picked up really, really well. Since we launched it, it became pretty much our number one selling string in quantities globally.
Wow.
Definitely the podcast helped to get a lot of people to know it. Everyone knows a little bit about the player story that went viral as well 2 years ago during Indian Wells. We see a lot of traction with our younger players with Lynx Tour. So it's pretty interesting if we get an update from our pro player team, and we're really working very close with each other. You really see that probably 80-85% of our players somehow use Lynx Tour in their setup.
Wow.
So you have a player like Musetti, who is he definitely is an established ATP player by the time, but I would count him to the younger generation. He's using Lynx Tour with Hog Rough as a hybrid setup, which is interesting. He got there, however he got there, but he loves it, so we let him play with it. You get other players that mix Lynx Tour with Hawk to get even a little bit more control. We got youngsters, like in the junior segment, they are playing a full setup of Lynx Tour. So it's really developing well for us. And the color played its part. In the meantime, we introduced a more neutral color with the gray silver, and then more flashy color with the orange that was launched together with a new Radical that also gets really good traction.
Nice. I was going to say, I'm not a buyer, so I don't often look at numbers. Numbers aren't really my thing or my forte, but does the champagne color outsell the other? Okay.
Yeah.
It's just like, there's something sexy, like nothing else looks like it. Nothing else looks like it in the string world.
No, definitely. There is something to it. And I think we have done together with you guys with our seeding program back in the days, the experimental packaging, we just got a lot of traction for it. And I don't think there's always that one reason why a product works well. There are multiple reasons. The time needs to be right. And yeah, it just worked out with this one. And I hope we can build on it with everything that's coming in the future, because it doesn't stop with Lynx Tour. It was just the start, basically.
Well, and then I guess that's a good segue. So there's been a little bit of buzz out there. This racket has hit, I'm holding a black racket from HEAD that has some aqua hits and an aqua grip. And there are people out there who have gotten seeded these rackets to test out and try, and they've been sharing their experiences on social media and all of that. It's actually even available to demo on the demo court at BMP right now. And it already comes strung, and there's a string in the racket that is already building some buzz and chatter. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, I hope the racket also gets good feedback. From what I hear from the demo court here at the BMP, like it is really well received. Says you got this on the side,
yes,
and like hopefully everyone gets it, because it's a really fascinating frame to hit with, and everyone who has the chance should get their hands on it to really try it. And as you said, with this racket and the consumer we want to attract with it, we also thought about a new kind of string concept. It's not like we didn't reinvent the wheel, to be honest. It's not that it's like completely new, the idea or anything. Like I'm very honest about it. But we thought we wanted to dig deeper in it, how to perfectionize maybe what has been out there, what I had been working on in the past with certain concepts. So that string was basically designed for players that love the feeling of a hybrid string in general. And talking here about a hybrid, I'm talking about a polyester multi or natural gut hybrid setup. And what I realized, like traveling around the world, doing workshops, talking to people, is that yes, there are a lot of benefits for hybrids. Arm challenges, more power, better touch, like you name it. Everyone has their reason why they want to play a hybrid. But a lot of players that don't break the string, they will realize over a certain period of time that their racket might deform, because both strings in a hybrid, they act different in terms of tension maintenance. So multifilament or natural gut will always keep the tension longer and the elasticity longer than a monofilament string. So what you realize if you have, for example, a hybrid setup with a natural gut on the mains, like probably after 2.5, 3 months, if you play with it, which I don't even recommend that somebody should play as long with a hybrid string, but it happens. We all know this. Big topic in the world of tennis. The racket would deform. It would get shorter, which will have impact on on your sweet spot, which then will have impact on your arm. You won't feel it right away, but it builds up, it adds up to it, and you don't want this to happen actually. So we thought about a string, and monofilaments are super popular because of the low friction, like less movement of the string, like you don't have to straighten the string all the time. Your fingers don't hurt, as we all know it from synthetic gut or from like any other multifilament string. It gets painful, especially if you string on tighter tensions or tighter string patterns. So that string, which is going to be called Lynx Touch, is coming with this seating racket and will be introduced once the seating racket gets unveiled officially in what it is. And I won't steal any thunder here. But the string has an interesting concept. So it has a black core that is a softer monofilament part, and it has a more or less translucent outer extrusion, also a monofilament. So the whole idea is like, if you hit really hard, if you really swing fast, you get more the benefits of that stiffer outer part, out of the outer extrusion part. And if you need that kind of extra touch, that extra feel, for example, slicing the ball or volleying the ball, or like for any stops or whatsoever, like the core will more or less take over. It's hard to describe, but that's kind of the concept how we wanted to put two things into one string, so we take away the downsides of a hybrid string.
Okay, awesome. And I have to admit, Jonathan has been stringing this in my racket of choice for a few months now. So I have gotten some extensive playing time with this string, and often he will put string in my racket and not really tell me what the situation is or what's going on, but he just wants my feedback. He's tried it in several different tensions, and I'm actually very tempted to make a full-time switch in rackets to a new Prestige that's coming.
Oh, nice.
I have to admit, I'm obsessed with the new Prestige Tour, but I haven't tried it in there yet. And I'm asking him, can you string it up for me? I am not normally someone that likes a softer setup per se, but I've been enjoying the string. Its playability is really nice. And because I do have firmer rackets and higher string setups, it's super comfortable. The string bed's super consistent. And something that I've noticed is the durability has been really solid as well. Can you speak a little bit about the performance of the string and what people can expect without even trying it? What is it going to feel like compared to other strings that they might have tried?
Yeah, I mean, this goes along with probably another question that might come up is where does it fit into the Lynx family, and why did you do another addition to Lynx and Lynx Tour? So we wanted something that's kind of a little bit in between, or even has more touch to it, a softer impact feel. Some people might want to say that it has a longer dwell time, so the ball pocketing is kind of longer, that you realize, or you experience a better feel because you get the sensation that the ball stays longer in your string bed. Mm-hmm. A more precise feedback probably here that string will give most players, and it's definitely on the softer side. And there's always the big challenge: the softer you go with the string, the more complicated it gets with tension maintenance, the more complicated it gets with durability, as you say. And there you always have to find a balance. Mm-hmm. There is no secret sauce that you can get everything always in one string. And I think that shouldn't be even the approach, because otherwise there would only be one or two strings out there, and people could choose from it. But yeah, it really gives a very nice touch. I think what you mentioned is on more of a softer racket, it has a special feel to it. Me personally, I tried it a lot and tested a lot on the Extreme Tour, which is a more crisp frame to play with. And that string helps to soften up that and gives it a really nice touch without losing the crispiness that the frame actually delivers. And I hear that from a lot of guys and girls from us in the office in Austria as well, and also from playtesters around the world that are now receiving the string.
Nice. I have like this philosophical question that J-Dub and I were bouncing around yesterday. And
Sounds scary now.
I'm curious how you're going to answer it. Or at least to me, it sounds philosophical. What gives a string such great touch? Like, how does that, we debate the word touch in tennis all the time. So
yeah. And it's always like, it's always a perception thing, right? Like there is no statistics that you necessarily can put down. Like even if you compare it, if you go to a restaurant and you eat a good steak or like you eat good fries or whatsoever, everyone will perceive it different,
Yeah.
And like a good chef will not tell his recipe, right? So
good answer.
I need to circle around this question a little bit, but definitely it's like we call it like or what you can say is like the balance. You add like impact modifiers to the string. I mean, the reason why the strings are called co-polyester means there are additives in the string, and we work with our factories very close and also our R&D team to find new additives, to find new additions that we can add to the string that changes the touch and feel to where we want it to be. But that's kind of where the secret comes from to find the right balance here between what you put into the string and how you balance it out in the recipe.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. No, that's a good answer. And then I just also want to confirm this is a copolyester. This is not a multifilament. It's not, because we're starting to see some of those trends too, like multifilament trying to be more control oriented, like polyesters, but not polyester. This is strictly copoly.
Yeah, I mean, I see this too, like that a lot of brands are trying it, that mainly the brands that have also a very good heritage within multifilament strings, they are trying to combine, let's say, the best of both worlds as well, more coming from their heritage with multifilament strings maybe. But like me personally and our team in Austria, we kind of wanted to go more into that co-extrusion polyester direction. And honestly speaking, we also wanted to keep it simple in terms of how we present the string and what we do. I mean, you can always put out technology names and all this stuff, but like I can just recommend everyone out there get in touch with you guys at TW, and now hopefully your emails at customer service will explode that everyone is requesting a demo set of Lynx Touch.
Yes.
And I hope as many people as possible will just love what they feel, because as I said, it's perception, like we can talk it all day long, like you need to feel it. So get your hands on it.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. I also am curious. Well, it is one of those strings too, that when you have it installed in your racket, it looks a lot cooler than when you're just looking at it on the website or even in the packaging. Because it does have that darker black core and then that translucent exterior. It kind of has, I don't even know how to explain it, but did you guys play around with different colors? Is this a
yes.
Yeah, okay. How did that process go?
So like for sure black is always neutral, so like first thing you try is going with a black core. Like the idea was, because we wanted to go into that hybrid feel direction, we wanted to make it look like a hybrid. Like from a technology point of view, it's like the two different, like you got the core and the outer, which is a hybrid, meaning two different things. And then at the same time, you also want to have a different look in the string bed, which means depending on how you hold the racket and what your light is on court, sometimes the main string will look black, sometimes the cross string will look black. So it can look much different than what you are used to, which makes it fun to look at.
Yeah, it's been fun. I keep referencing it as, I don't know if you had this growing up, but those hypercolor shirts, and anyone that was born in the early 80s in the United States knows what I'm talking about, but they used to be like one color. And if you got hot, they would change color.
Yeah.
But so like, that's kind of like, sometimes I'm like, oh, it looks blacker. Sometimes it's translucent. So yeah, it's been pretty cool to kind of look at the different color setups in my racket. That sounds silly, but
no, it's a pretty cool looking string as well, without being totally fancy on the color side. So it is at the end relatively neutral and will fit to a lot of rackets out there.
Yes, definitely. When does it officially launch? Are you able to say?
That's actually a good question, and you might have caught me on the wrong foot, but like it will launch together with the racket. I think beginning of the year, January timeframe should be correct.
Awesome. And then, of course, we will get lots of questions. Is it going to be available in several gauges? And
it will be like one color, basically, that transparent black, what we called it. Always tough to find like proper names.
Yeah.
And it will be 2 gauges. We will start with 16 and 17 gauge. Yeah.
Okay.
We didn't want to because of the construction, and this question might come up, if 18 gauge is something we would consider. It's difficult with this construction to go very thin, because then the playability actually changes too much to something we don't want this string to play like. So
that makes sense. I have not yet hit it, but have you tried it in a hybrid yet? So let me back up. Not a traditional hybrid. We're starting to see more poly hybrids. I keep saying that like the next gen is bringing the poly hybrid. So actually one of our hitters of this racket has Lynx Tour with Lynx Touch. Have you tried that yet?
Yes, I tried it. And also one of my colleagues here in the team in the US, he actually, this is his favorite, has become his favorite setup. He just loves the additional impact feel. He loves that kind of spin and everything that he gets through Lynx Tour, and kind of that crisp feel, but he loves the additional impact feel that he gets with that additional poly. And he's also a guy like that grew up with full poly, so like making those guys switch to let's say a hybrid out of poly and multi is always a little bit more difficult, because the feel is so different. And with that combination, it kind of like stays in your alley, but like gives you the additional benefits that you might be looking for.
And then, of course, the question that always comes up, will there be any tour support, or will you guys be seeding this out to any of the players on tour, or kind of reserving it more for us mere mortals?
We will definitely use the off season to hand it out to players, but honestly speaking, I don't have a lot of expectations to it that really like high performing players are in. It might be a little bit too soft for them, to be honest. I can see it being used in hybrid setups with polys. That's definitely something that players might want to try. Like even a Hawk, like a super stiff one combined with this one, will be very interesting to play with. Where I can see and where we're going to focus on is juniors. So like the younger kids, 12, 13, 14 years old, it's going to be a super interesting string for them, because it delivers the comfort. It's not harsh on the arm. Still, they would get the control they need, less breakages than on multi. So that's certainly something we would go for and look at.
Nice. That's what I was going to say. How do you kind of see this growing? And that makes a lot of sense, like getting it in juniors rackets and being able to introduce them to poly strings without introducing them to discomfort and all the other things that sometimes come along with that. Are there any other strings in the market that you see competing with this? And you don't have to name the names or anything, but are there other options out there, or is this pretty unique and kind of sits on its own right now?
Like if you want to compare it, there is like from a Belgium tennis brand or a string brand, there is something out there that might follow a similar concept or a similar idea. I think also from a French bigger brand, there is something out there right now that is probably targeting the same consumer group. Yeah, we will see what people tell. I mean, the truth will come from the market and from players, what the feedback is like. I'm personally pretty confident with what we have put out there right now and what people can be testing soon. So let's see. It is just our interpretation of it's what we wanted to do, and that's what we go for. So
awesome. Anything else that we should be aware of with this string? What are some of the other things like that the string geeks need to know?
I think we pretty much covered everything. Like tension for sure, like what we see here, and circling back to your question about the string room, what we see here is that for a lot of players, like that string tension is actually rather going down than going up. It's also something where you can see that most players try to get like either an additional impact feel, plus like the new materials that are out there combined with the new frames and rackets just give them enough control so they can go down with it to have a better touch and feel. Definitely also a topic for regular players. Like I personally, I'm a huge fan of the lower tensions. Like it's actually much more fun to play with it. It has a better sound. It's less pingy, and that goes for any poly or multi actually. And you have more benefits than downsides going lower in tension.
Good that you brought that up, because one of the questions that we generated from the Talk Tennis message board, someone had asked what HEAD's take was on a lower tension, and if you guys would ever create a string that was specifically made to be used at lower tensions, like 40 and below. So if you want to take that on, you basically kind of already answered it, but what's HEAD's take? And you're going to be speaking for HEAD, Dennis, your HEAD's take on stringing poly at low tensions.
Yeah, as I said, like me, I personally really like it. I think it gives an additional feel, especially if you are used to, in general, to play with poly. So like I also grew up with polyester. Last then was multifilament strings. I really like it. Again, also because of the sound. You need to decide for yourself, because it also depends a lot on which string pattern are you playing, which racket are you playing with. So like I'm always struggling to give like a rule of thumb basically out there, like this is the way you have to go, this is the best ever, and what. So it's in my opinion always difficult. I hear a lot of players now that they want to do pre-stretch on monofilament strings, which is also, well, if it works for you, it might not work for others because you like deaden out the string a little bit. But like I hear that because if you have a super fast swing, it might make sense for your game. It might make sense in the combination of your racket. I think you can play pretty much every monofilament string on a low tension. It always depends on the racket and then frequencies of the string on different tensions combined with the racket frequencies. But that's probably going to get too technical right now.
Yeah. Well, and then it just all comes back to feel and what you as an individual feel like and feel.
Yeah,
I like to feel like I'm hitting with a board. You like to feel like you're hitting with something nice and soft.
Yeah, I always like refer to food or cars. Like some people like it mild, some people like it hot eating, and
Exactly.
some other people love the comfortable car. Some people love the sports car. It's like you need to figure out what's good for you. And I think the beauty of today's tennis market, and especially like the product offering that you guys are giving, not only from us, but from everyone, gives everyone the opportunity to find the perfect setup for themselves. For sure, my smile is going to be bigger if it's all head, but
yeah, for sure. And like, even if you've never strung below 40 pounds, it's definitely something you should try. Even if you absolutely hate it and cut it out, like to experience that sensation, it is so different, and it's something so easy that you can control. So we're all about trying different things, and exactly like you said, figuring out what you like and all of the above. We got a few other questions on some head related things, and I think there are a few people out there hoping that you can answer these.
I hope.
I hope so. What's the best head hybrid to replace Intellitour, since that's been discontinued in the States?
Yeah, that's probably a difficult one. Like I know that there are fans out there, but like unfortunately, and that's how the world turns, like from a business perspective, you sometimes have to look at numbers. You have to look at if it still makes sense to continue to have all these offerings, because at the same time, like if you have too many strings in your portfolio and in general, and especially the string market is huge compared, like it's even bigger than the racket market, different offerings. So we took that tough decision because has been an established string over many years. It is ribbon based, so like it's hard to find like a full replacement for it, but definitely anything monofilament combined with velocity will probably get close to it. Rib control is still out there that people could try. So like there is probably not that one-on-one like go with this one and it's your perfect choice, but
it's time to experiment, just like we were talking about with tensions. So unfortunately, no clean answer on that one, but that's okay.
No,
I've got another
it's not always possible to have like that. This is it.
It's all good.
Whoever asked a question, I hope they are not mad at me now.
I don't think so. Maybe we'll send them a set of Lynx Touch and see.
That's a good call.
See if that might help get them going somewhere new. Also, change is really hard for tennis players. Like, just saying.
Yeah, don't tell me about it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, you could tell us stories, especially working with pro players. But another question that came up a lot actually was about Lynx Tour, and the people are like obsessed with it, but now they want it in more gauges. And the US market currently only has 16 and 17 gauge. Can we expect to see thinner gauges in Lynx Tour?
In general, yes. Like all the three colorways will be available in 18 gauge. Unfortunately, right now it's tough to give a full timeline. It has to do with what everyone reads in the media about supply chain challenges. So we also try to be mindful of that when we add what. So focus here was really to make sure we have Lynx Touch in the market at the time the new frame launches. But there will be a Lynx Tour in 18 gauge.
Nice. I know people will be very excited about that. Another question that kind of goes in that same category, someone was asking, why does Lynx Tour, and this came up a few times, why does Lynx Tour feel heavier and thicker than other polys in the same gauge?
Yeah, it's always like what you put down as measurement. So since it has the edges and stuff, so like it can feel slightly thicker. Mm-hmm. Due to the texture of the string. But in general, we keep the production pretty narrow to the specifications, but it definitely can happen.
Okay. Yeah.
You have a tolerance there too.
I was going to say, and then even like gauges, the measuring of gauges can change from brand to brand as well. So
yeah, and like some use it even as a marketing tool. If you see it, like they put out like 16L instead of 17 or whatsoever, mm-hmm. and like the perception is then that it might last longer or whatsoever, but it's still also 125 millimeter, which we probably could spend an ongoing podcast about this fact too.
I think we could. Someone was asking, what are the top selling head strings? It sounds like Lynx Tour is doing quite well.
Yeah, it's definitely Lynx Tour is up there. Hawk Touch is doing really well. Sonic Pro is established, definitely also. Velocity is crushing it on the multifilament side. Mm-hmm. I think I'm pretty confident to say that we probably have one of the best offerings out there on this price point in the multifilament section. Synthetic Gut from HEAD has always been up there too the past couple of years, especially when another brand like opened that door a little bit for others to walk in. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, we are pretty happy with the development of our string portfolio in general. Certainly, it could always be more. Like we are all coming more or less from an athlete background, so you want to have wins.
Yes.
You don't want to just reach the final; you want to win the final. So, like, we are battling our way up in the rankings in sales and perception for sure.
Now a question from me. What trends are you seeing? Maybe you'll see it this week in the stringing room on the pro level. And then what trends are you seeing right now with strings at the not recreation level, but like more us, players that don't play pro?
For the pros, like the product they are using is not changing as much. It's really more the tension related things or the combination that players start using, like either looking for more touch or looking for more control. Mm-hmm. But it's not really that anything super new is entering the stringing room. For the recreational player, as I said, from our perspective, velocity is really doing well for those kind of players. On the junior side, it's Lynx Tour, it's Lynx, and I hope Lynx Touch will be up there too. And Lynx Touch will be really an interesting string for a lot of tennis players on, let's say, both ends of the spectrum.
Okay, awesome. And then this doesn't have to do with strings, but I know you're a bit of a shoe geek. Any new shoes? Have you gone in shopping this week at all yet?
Oh, yes. Like, unfortunately, I had some a few chances to hit some sneaker stores around Los Angeles and also in Boston. And like, I need to see how I pack it up and getting back to Europe on the weekend. But yeah, it unfortunately happens.
Nice. No, that's awesome. That's always fun. Did you hit up is it Kith in LA that has
Yeah, it
all
was that's where I go. Like then there's Undefeated. You got Union. A lot of those brands are based actually or out of LA. I mean, Kiss is from New York, but like they only have a store. Also have a store in LA. It's always fun to see what they do, how they display products, how they showcase product, how they tell the story. I think partly tennis can learn a lot from, like, let's say the streetwear or fashion industry on how to present products and to get attention to product.
Yes. And if you ever have a chance to run into Dennis at a tournament, you'll notice he's always got cool kicks on, like always. So
Trying.
yeah.
Trying my best.
There's a few people in the industry that definitely step it up in terms of footwear. So
yeah, clearly. I mean, you see it on the tennis shoes as well. I mean, I think there are some nice products out there. Our team is doing a great job. I think we really see a good growth in our footwear business, nice designs. The fit has improved tremendously. We have more and more pro players using our footwear as well, with Marin Cilic as the number one guy basically in our team, also wearing HEAD sportswear. So that's also something where we as a brand completely develop ourselves and prepare ourselves for the future. And who hasn't stepped in and had footwear yet should definitely give it a try as well and see if it's an alternative for what they have been using for many years, probably.
Yeah, no, that's a good shout out to the footwear. We definitely agree that more people should try it and get it on their feet, because there's not many people who have tried it that don't like those shoes. And once you start wearing them, you're kind of like, okay, I'm not going to switch back out. And there's something for everyone. If you're looking for a speed shoe or something more comfortable, they've got a bunch of options. And like Dennis mentioned, the fit's really great. No complaints there either. So
that's good to hear.
Yeah. Well, and it's really exciting.
I will pass it on to the footwear team because they will be very happy to hear, because I know my colleague Simon, Carlos, our developer, Michael, they are grinding and trying to improve constantly as well, which is great to see as well.
Yeah. And it's exciting to see HEAD as a brand, everything's kind of coming together, the rackets that we're seeing right now, the Prestiges launch, as we're recording, just launched very soon in the next couple of weeks. And those have been a sneak peek. I don't know when this episode's going to air, but those were very well received by our team in the United States. And I know I love the Prestige Tour. I can't stop talking about it. I've been hitting it a bunch. And then even this new racket, the You Got This racket. I don't even know what to call it. The You Got This.
Let's call it You Got This.
Yeah, You Got This.
I mean, there are names out there on the message boards already, but I won't say it.
I won't say it. So it is exciting to see you guys just kind of build some excitement in the industry. We need more of that.
Yeah, we're trying our best. I mean, we are all passionate. Everyone at headquarters, everyone in the countries, if you talk to, you guys talk very regularly to our US team, everyone is passionate about the product, passionate about the brand, and we constantly challenge ourselves for improvements. And it's really true. It sounds like I'm saying this as a marketing slogan or something, but you can trust me and you can trust the entire team that we really do this. And what's coming in 2022 and even further 2023, 2024, that's as far ahead as we look at it. There is more exciting stuff coming from us, and people can expect us to step up even more.
Nice. That sounds like a promise. I'm here for it.
It is a promise. We will talk next year latest on the podcast about a bunch of new stuff that's coming.
Cool. I look forward to it. I also know we're probably going to get our hands on some more of these sample sets of Lynx Touch. So I'd love to give some out to some of the podcast listeners. If you guys email me at podcast@tennis-warehouse.com, we'll set you up with some Lynx Touch string, and we would love to hear your feedback as well. And that will be so awesome to see if you agree with anything that we said or think we're full of it. Hopefully you agree, though.
Yeah, hopefully the audience will allow me to come back.
Yeah, maybe that would be the follow-up.
Tired of me talking about everything.
No, we love it. It's awesome. Anything else before we wrap this up?
Not from my side. Many thanks for having the opportunity to talk to you, to answer questions from the message board. And as you know, like I'm always there. If messages or if questions pile up, like we can connect on it and do another session if needed.
For sure. That would be great. Always happy to have you. It's always great chatting with you and everyone from your team. And happy hitting with Lynx Touch, and you got this.
Yeah, and I will go back to the stringing room now and do some work and probably get my hands on it as well.
Nice. Love that. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining, Dennis. And anyone listening that wants to reach out and ask any further questions and try out Lynx Touch, be sure to email us. And happy hitting.
Thanks, Michelle. Thank you. Thanks, TW.